Every once in a while, I like to make something that's just a little out of the ordinary. So today I present to you Taco Cupcakes. I'll admit it, I stole this, okay? I saw a picture of it online and just said, that is so awesome, I need to make a plant-based version of it. So really, really simple recipe, but a lot of fun, and it actually tastes pretty darn good. We tested it the other day. So what's the first thing I need?
We're gonna start off with our meat mixture, which obviously isn't meat. Instead, it's textured vegetable protein.
Which is a soy-based product, so if you have allergies to soy, this might not be for you. I have not tested it, but I'm sure you could do this with lentils or beans or something too. It's just the concept that this makes almost a ground beef-like product that works. Actually, my tofu crumbles would probably work really nice in this too.
I'll make sure to link our tofu crumble video in the description below if you prefer to use that choice, which is also a soy product, so...
Yeah, but it's not TVP. Yeah, so
we're adding 1.5 cups of TVP to our mixing bowl.
And notice, Derica got out all the measuring equipment for me. I'll admit, I'm the one that made them perfectly even on the table, but you know. Anyway, next.
Next, we need something to bind this so that we just don't have loose meat replicant in our cupcake. We have more of a cupcake structure. And so we're going to be using psyllium husks as our binder.
Now, there are a lot of things you can use as a binder. I'm using psyllium in this one because it's a little more close to nature, if you will.
2 tablespoons, please.
Yes. We have the powder. There also is the flake version. I actually prefer the flake version, but the powder works just fine for this. If you really wanted to, you could use methyl cellulose, but a lot of people don't seem to like to use that.
You could use flax.
Yeah, you could use a flax egg. I'm not because it's extra fat. I know it sounds a little silly, but I'm trying to be really, really low fat and it's working for me. So, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Other things to use as a binder here could just be plain old flour, like chickpea flour or even a whole wheat flour would actually work really well as a binder.
Also, if you're not concerned about having a cupcake-like substance for your meat replicant, you can just use plain old seasoned TVP.
If you do opt to leave a binder out and just use plain TVP, just know that when you cut into it later, it might just go and fall out, which is fine, but just know that's the difference. What's next?
Next up, fresh ground black pepper, please.
To taste, which means, in our case, probably a lot. You know, like half a teaspoon or so. This does make 6 rather large cupcakes. When we tested them, we ate all of them between the two of us. It's a little much.
Yeah, we were full.
Yeah.
Speaking of seasoning, it's time for the Wonder Twins. Onion powder and garlic powder, a tablespoon each.
A tablespoon each.
Brian is going to eyeball, even though I got the tablespoon measure out.
Just to show.
That's how he does things.
Doesn't, an exact tablespoon or a few grains more doesn't really matter. It's just so much quicker to not measure. That's why I never do. But, you know, that's about a tablespoon. It's close enough.
Next up is cumin and dried oregano.
How much?
A teaspoon of each of those, please.
Now, if you notice the way I do it, though, I put it, like, to the side so I can see how much I'm laying on there.
He's visually measuring.
Yeah. There we go. Teaspoon each?
Yep.
You could use more or less. And that's kind of the point of the measuring versus not. It's not crucial. This is just seasoning. I did a little bit more oregano.
2 teaspoons chili powder.
This is just a mild dark chili powder, but you can use any kind of chili powder you like. This way it doesn't get spicy. This stuff is not spicy at all.
There was a brief moment of time where we could not find commercially available chili powder anywhere. It was
we
crazy.
could get little tiny things. And I'm like, that's 2 recipes for me.
So we just got dried chilies and ground them up.
Yeah. We actually bought dried ancho chilies and put them in the blender.
A half teaspoon of chipotle powder.
Now, this is one of my favorite secret ingredients. I put it in my chili. I put it in taco meats, which basically that's what we're making now is a taco meat. It's a little bit spicy though, so be careful, but it adds a nice smoky flavor.
Yep. If you want to omit the spice but retain the smoke, you could add smoked paprika.
Or liquid smoke.
Or liquid smoke.
Either one.
Yep. Now we're going to mix that up because that is the end of our dried ingredients.
That's it? No more dry ingredients?
And the reason why we like to pre-mix our dried ingredients is because most of that was seasoning. You know, so we don't want to have one little pocket that's like 100% chili powder. We want it to be uniform in flavor.
The psyllium and the TVP both rehydrate. So if you have too much psyllium together, it just forms a blob, nasty gelatinous blob, and it's not good.
We try to avoid that.
Yeah, the only time I like gelatinous cubes is in D&D.
There you go. Now it's time for our wet ingredients. And first up is 2 cups of veggie broth. This is our homemade veggie broth from scraps. This is super easy veggie broth to make, and it has no sodium if you don't add any.
And I'm just putting it all in because there's no way to know it's too much or not enough until it's too late.
Until it's just too late.
But it's actually pretty hard to put too much in this because it just mixes together and starts to immediately coagulate and soak everything in.
Another ingredient you probably saw over on the edge there is soy sauce. And this is going to bring some umami and meatiness to our mixture as well as be the salt replicant.
Yeah, soy sauce is a great thing to add to sauces and anything that you really want a meaty flavor. Like she said,
We only need a teaspoon of it.
just 1 teaspoon. Okay. It does add a saltiness as well, but it's the meaty richness that we're going for, and that's the umami coming through. You can see it's already starting to thicken up.
Yep. And just that little bit of the soy sauce also gave it a better color.
Yeah, it's a little browner.
So it looks more like what you anticipated it to look like.
Yeah, taco filling.
All right.
Call it that.
Now, ideally, you want to make this like the day before or a few hours before you're going to prep, so that way it can be in the refrigerator.
20 minutes, half an hour is all you really need.
Okay.
She's getting that from, I usually make it like way early in the morning, and then when I make lunch, I pull it out later. But really, it only needs about 15 or 20 minutes to fully hydrate, and it'll be fine.
And now it's time to make cheese sauce. And this is one we've already made, but we're just going to quickly show you again here now. We're going to start off with milk. Now, we don't happen to have any plant-based milk in the house right now, so we're going to be using an alternative from our original recipe, and that is powdered milk. This is organic soy milk powder.
In the original, I think I used oat milk. But I'm going to use soy milk powder, and it says 4 tablespoons to make 1 cup of milk. So I'm just going to get 4 tablespoons. In a recipe like this, the powder works just fine. And I have the powder because I actually use it in a lot of seitan recipes and things like that. It works as a really nice binder.
And it's shelf stable.
That was 2, right? Yeah, 3. Whoops. Yeah, the shelf stability is really why we bought it.
I think it's cost effective too.
It's pretty cheap, yeah. Now, something about the cheese sauce. You can use nearly any cheese sauce you want. You can even just melt like a vegan cheese over this if you want to. That's totally fine. We're trying to make it even lower fat, so that's why we're not using cashews or anything like that in this. It's not even my potato cheese sauce. This is even simpler than that. Don't we have other things before the... Oh, you want me to make the milk first?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Doesn't have to be this way. I think I'd rather wait and put the liquid in.
Okay,
we're gonna change it up.
Chaos kitchen, as is normal. So next step is to make it extra cheesy. We're gonna add nutritional yeast.
Actually, to make it cheesy at all.
We need 3 tablespoons.
3 tablespoons. Yeah,
He's gonna eyeball it and put in
I'm making it cheesier.
that much.
4, maybe even 5 tablespoons. If you're not a huge fan of nutritional yeast, then ease back. Just use like 3 or 4.
Now to make it thick and more saucy, we're gonna add a starch, and today's starch is tapioca flour.
And you want to use tapioca because it makes it stretchy.
2 tablespoons, please.
2 tablespoons. Rounded tablespoons is fine. I want it thick with like 6 C's. Not 8, just 6.
6. Don't want to get too carried away.
That's right.
And the Wonder Twins are back. Onion powder and garlic powder. We need a teaspoon of each.
Now this I want to be kind of close on because it's cheese sauce. So you don't want it to taste weird. Yeah. Too much of these things and it tastes odd. Not enough, and it actually comes out kind of sweet depending on the milk that you use to make it. And sweet is just weird too.
Yeah.
Take it from our experience.
Particularly on tacos. That's not the route we're going for. Our last dry ingredient is an optional ingredient, and that is salt. But we have found that leaving salt
really
out
optional.
of cheese kind of makes it
Cheese is
taste
salty.
weird. Yeah.
How much do I need?
It's an optional ingredient. As much as you
I'm going to use
wish.
a teaspoon. Okay. And this is sea salt. If you're using like the iodized, more granular, you might need less. Too salty, is not good.
Yeah.
No salty, not good either. It just doesn't taste right.
You need the Goldilocks amount of salt.
Exactly.
And now it's time to dry.
Now the dry
wet.
ingredients. Wet ingredients.
Yes.
And it's 1 cup of water, because the reason why you're using water is because of the soy powder. If you're not using soy powder,
If you're using milk,
then just add a cup of milk.
yeah.
Okay, so we changed it up, but I don't want to confuse anybody. And then,
Lemon juice.
okay.
2
How much?
teaspoons.
This I'm probably going to measure, because if you put too much, again, it gets weird.
But if you think about a cheese-like product, it's going to have a little bit of that tang to it, and that's what
Like a
the
sour
lemon
flavor.
juice is going to add.
Yeah. You can use apple cider vinegar too, if you prefer. I find it makes a more tangy kind of cheese. So for this, maybe not right, but hey, this is just a cheese sauce. You can do with that as you will. And then give it the whiskey business. Make sure there's no clumps. This is really important at this stage. Now, some people will mix this into a bowl and then pour it into the pot. I don't see the point. The pot is bowl-shaped, so...
More dishes to wash.
Exactly. I don't even wash the dishes, and I try to conserve washing dishes. I try. Doesn't always happen. Can't tell you how many times I've made a very simple lunch, and half the kitchen is covered in dirty dishes.
It's all right, because it's normally delicious.
Okay, at this point, what we have is a very loose, cheesy liquid, sort of, with lemon juice in it.
So it's time to head over to the stove.
And what you want to do is just keep stirring this under like a medium-low heat until it starts to thicken up. Once it starts to thicken, that's when you can turn off the heat and just set this to the side. Usually takes about 5 to 8 minutes to get to that point. So now it's time to make some cupcakes. And to do that, we're actually going to use something you might not think of. Spring roll wrappers. You've probably seen them in the store. Believe it or not, they're vegan. We checked. And all they really are is a pasta dough, okay? So they're just flour and water. If you're trying to be 100% whole food, plant-based, these might not be the best thing to choose, but they do the job, and that's what we're gonna use today. We keep ours in the freezer until we need them and then defrost them. It just seems to work really well. And I just peel it apart.
They are a little delicate, so just be patient and take your time.
And I have here a 6-piece muffin tin. If you have really small, like a really small one, you could probably get away with the wonton wrappers, which are actually the same thing, just a different size. But what I do is I put it into the hole and just kind of smush it down to the sides.
Gently.
Yeah, you want to be very careful. Not like me. And I kind of press it to the sides a little bit and see there'll be like a corner. I'll just fold that over so it goes inside, makes a nice neat edge-ish. I don't worry about it too much. And peel off another one, wash, rinse, and repeat 5 more times. So you pop it in, press it to the sides, try to be gentle and neat if you can. I am neither. And then fold the excess over. It doesn't have to be perfect, but something like that to make a cup. All right, so now that we have our cupcake cups, remember that really loose meat mixture we had before?
It's not so loose anymore.
That's the psyllium working right there. That's a wonderful thing. I just like to give it a little bit of a mix to break up that matrix a little bit, makes it a little easier for what I'm about to do to it.
It smells fantastic already.
You could, in theory, eat this right now, but I wouldn't. It doesn't have to be cooked. It's already technically cooked. Okay, so what I want to do is just get a kind of a small scoop like that, and I want to put it into one of the cups, just like that, and press that down. I only want to fill it about 1/3 of the way at this point, maybe just a little over 1/3.
The reason being, you may have noticed this can of corn over here.
I'm getting to that. And just drop it right in, press it down, just filling it about 1/3 of the way. I don't want to pack it too tight. I want to keep a little bit of air in there for moisture and things like that. Just kind of press it. Make sure you get all the corners though, because that would be, we don't want air pockets, you know. So press it, but not too much. I'm just going to do all 6. As Derica said, I have a can of corn sitting here. Now, could this be fresh corn too? Could this be frozen corn? Of course it can. The thing is you want, let's see, this is a 15.25 ounce can, but serving size is a 1/2 cup. So you need about 1.75 cups of corn. I wouldn't be offended if you use 2 or 1.5. And what I want to do is just ladle a layer of corn in between the layers of the taco mixture. Not too thick, just a little bit. What this does is it breaks up the texture of the TVP meat, essentially, and it adds a really nice sweetness to the middle of it. So it just works wonderfully.
It's like a fun little surprise.
Okay, so there's a little bit of corn left over. And you know what that becomes? Chef Snacks. And yes, I will eat cold corn right from the can. I like corn. But we're not done. We still got some meat mixture here. And for that, I'm just going to put caps on it. I'm just going to put it right on the top, make another layer. So it encapsulates the corn. The corn does a few things though. Like I said, it adds that extra texture, but it's also going to keep moisture in there because this stuff can dry out really, really easily. So, because it's going to get baked, you know? So we want to trap as much moisture as we can and, you know, be a little generous here. It's okay. If there's extra, you can just make a taco or something. I don't know. People have asked like about my Beyond Burger clones that I made where we used methyl cellulose. They've asked, can I just use psyllium? Here's why I use psyllium for this. In this particular recipe, it's not so offensively weird. Psyllium husk makes a really odd jelly-like matrix when it gels together, and it's not always very pleasant.
So if you use enough psyllium, when you pull apart the other elements, you'll see this
stringy,
the clear strands holding it together, and that's not pleasing in a burger-like or a patty-like thing.
Yeah, the texture itself is a little too gelatinous, is a good word. So that's why I'm using it in this recipe, because it almost doesn't matter in this one because there's so many other elements going on. There's a little bit of crunch. There's, you know, so it works. But for like a meatball or a burger, I don't know that it actually works as well. You can totally do it if you really have a problem with other binders.
Experiment, see if it doesn't offend you.
Yeah.
And if it really offends you in this, then you can swap it out with the methyl cellulose if you're not offended by methyl cellulose.
Exactly, yeah. We did not try this with methyl cellulose, but I'm sure it would work as well. Okay, these are ready. They go into a 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes. Okay, after 20 minutes, there they are. Now, obviously, I had to use the heated glove to get them out of there. I need the other one too. I'll be right back. Should have just used my right hand to pull them out of the oven. Anyway, so now that they're here, here's what happens. I want to separate them a little bit from their mold. They're not fully done yet, but they are crisping up slightly.
And this next procedure is one of strategy and
brute force and delicacy at the same time.
Yeah.
Easiest way to say it. So I just want to kind of run that around it. Separate it. Because remember, I didn't spray any oil or anything in here. You can if you really want to. I just don't. And then I want to try to get it out of there. And it works really well if you just do it like this. Oh, that one broke.
The bottom broke?
Bottom broke. Okay, this one's ugly. Yeah, the wrappers sometimes themselves don't hold together, and that's what we had here. So that one it'll be a mess.
It's okay.
But it'll be delicious. Let's try again. Okay. Give it a little tug. Okay, that one came out. Beautiful, just like that. That's usually how it works. I did have one break last time too, though. Oh, it's probably me. Just get the rest of these guys out. I think the secret is tug on all sides first, and then kind of squeeze and give it a twist. And if it doesn't twist, you're going to tear the bottom out. So don't do that. Now it's separated. There's number 3, 2.5. Okay, I'm just gonna get the rest of these out and put them on a tray. Okay, so Derica took out the rest of them because she has a gentler hand at such things.
They're There is an issue with these particular wrappers in that if there's any moisture between them and a solid surface, they're just going to fuse to that. So one of the ways that we could have avoided with this is to put some sort of starch in our cups before lining them with that. And that will have a moisture barrier and it would absorb any excess moisture.
Or cook them a little bit longer.
Or
you could actually just cook them a few more minutes.
Longer. Yeah.
But what I like to do is the next step. And I'm going to broil them for like 5 minutes because that way it crisps up the outside. But if you cooked them a little bit longer in the pan, that might prevent that too. The other day when I did it, only one of them broke. And I think it was because I did not put it in there properly at all. But these actually worked out okay. It's not perfect. They're going to be great though. But next, remember that cheese sauce? It's kind of solidified more now. It's gloopy and gloppy and glippy and whatever. I don't know. This is our frosting. I'm making up words. But this is our frosting. So you want to just put a nice pile of see, the frosting is going to cover up all the issues. It's my story and I'm sticking to it. Just, you know, be generous. It's frosting, right? But this is almost healthy frosting. I can't even say that this is healthy frosting. It's a bunch of starches, really. But there's no sugars.
Than real sugar and real butter.
This is true. That it is, yes. See, it looks kind of like frosting. All right, I'll be honest. These are as much like cupcakes as tortellini are like Aphrodite's navel. But that's how they got their name.
We have 3 that came out pretty good.
We're just going to show you those 3.
Yeah, those are the ones we're going to focus on.
Yeah, you don't need to look away from the others.
This is how you know it's real, not a fake kitchen.
Yeah. We don't fake anything around here, pretty much. If it's a failure, we show you. If it turned out great, we show you. This one doesn't. Got too much on this one. Not enough on this one. See? You know, you just...
Well, work on that guy.
I'm getting there.
He's
a nice one, you're right. I gotta get the rest out of here. You know, get it all out of there. You paid for these ingredients. Use them up. Last time we made this, we had extra cheese left over. And I put salsa in it and made fiesta cheese.
It was lovely.
Dip chips and stuff in it. It's great. Are they pretty enough or do you need to finesse them?
It's gonna melt a little.
A little bit. It doesn't really melt. Yeah. It kind of spreads slightly.
Yeah, it'll be great.
And bubbles a little.
So with that in mind, because he is putting them back into the oven, you want to keep an eye on them because you don't want your cheese to get too crunchy. Because
that's actually pretty good. All right, under the broiler for 5 minutes. But keep an eye on it. If they start to turn colors, you're done. Okay, they've been under the broiler a little bit. They're nice and hot. The pan is hot. Now I got to transfer one to a plate.
I'm going to transfer that guy.
Okay.
It's nice and close to you.
I'm using a metal spatula, getting underneath it, and there we go. It's moving.
I don't know if I'm helping or hurting.
Right now, a little of both. Okay.
Transfer successful.
The rest go back over there. We're going to eat these later.
All right, but we're not done. Now we're going to do some cold ingredients. This is our sour cream recipe. I actually made this earlier.
Now you can use any plant-based sour cream that you want to use. We're just using the one that we made. We have a video on that, right?
Yeah. And then...
Actually, we made this one with one alteration. We didn't put cashews in it. The one that's on the channel has cashews in it.
Yeah.
You can totally do it that way. We did it without the cashews, just more new. Worked beautifully.
And then we're going to use some salsa. You can also do pico gallo, like our fresh pico gallo recipe. That would be lovely on this. And I maybe put a little too much, so it's...
No, you didn't put enough.
Because it's so hot, everything is just kind of spreading.
Yep. But there is our taco cupcake.
Look at that. It's beautiful.
And now we eat it. I'm going to try to cut into it, get a little bit of everything.
It's going to be really hot because it literally just came out of the oven.
All right, so I'm just going to cut it open and try to get a little bit of everything in each bite.
That was a nice cut, babe.
Thank you. It's sticking to the plate now. But the inside of it, see, it holds together well. And then a little cross section. There you go. Choose your weapon.
Normally I set out 2 forks and 2 knives so we can
I forgot the other
tag
fork.
team. So he just gets to watch me enjoy this.
It's all right.
And wish that he was enjoying
That way,
it
while
too.
she's chewing, I can talk, and while I'm chewing, she can talk. It's called strategy.
This is a really big bite.
Just do it.
Pardon me.
There you go. Now, Derica is a huge fan of all things Mexican when it comes to food. Now, the cool thing is that wonton, the spring roll wrapper, kind of simulates a flour tortilla, which that's really all it would be. It gets a little bit crispy. It's got a really nice texture to it. The meat mixture itself is so flavorful and perfect. And then you get that little burst from the corn. Wonderful. The cheese is just nice and creamy mixed with the sour cream. And then the nice little acid kick from the salsa. Awesome.
My favorite part, honestly, is the corn. Because you get all the stuff going on, but then you get that nice burst of freshness, that crunch and that sweet in the corn, right in the middle of all the other good stuff. And it's just like a happy little surprise.
I need another bite.
For science.
We've experimented with different amounts of binder in there. I think this was the right amount. We had more originally, and it was much denser, and you really had to cut it, which is okay, but it did do that weird chewy thing that psyllium does. This just seems spot on, like exactly the way you want it. So,
if you're looking for something fun and different using things that you know taste good, try out Taco Cupcakes.
Remember, you can put toppings on it as you please. You can do diced tomatoes and onions and stuff like that.
Avocado,
Pico de gallo, like she said. Guacamole, avocado, all those things. It's all good. It's your taco cupcake. Make it how you want. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on The Bistro.